weekend all across America, very much feeling like fall football weather, and that is the story here in Pittsburgh today. 45 degrees, 62-year-old Pennsylvania native from York, PA is Bruce Arians. What a job he has done in Arizona. 25 wins over the last 2+ seasons. That is fourth most among all teams in the NFL. And the man he once worked for, Mike Tomlin, 42 years old, still the third youngest coach in the NFL. 85 wins as the Steeler head man, 5 times to the playoffs. Arizona wins the toss, selects to receive. Very short kick, bobbled by the rookie Johnson, but able to recover and bring it up to the 23-yard line. And that's where 35-year-old, 2-time Pro Bowl quarterback Carson Palmer will take over. Came to the Cardinals from the Raiders 3 years ago. Troy, I'm not sure what everybody thought he had left, but boy, he's proven to have more than enough.
Yeah, he sure has. It's been a great fit in Arizona. He has found himself a home, and of course the job that Bruce Arians does in terms of coordinating this offense, I think really fits the skill set of Carson Palmer. He's playing as well right now, Tom, as I have ever seen him play. Very confident now in his third year in this offense.
One thing Arizona's doing better than they have done in a decade is run the ball, and naturally they go empty backfield the very first play from scrimmage.
Flag on the play.
And a flag before it ever got started.
The play clock was incorrect. There is no foul. Reset the play clock to 10 seconds. The play clock, not the game clock, 10 seconds.
That was going to be something if they got to delay a game right to start this game. It showed 0. I was wondering the same thing, how in fact you could run out of time in the first play of the game.
Good protection, and Palmer looking down the field into double coverage, and John Brown somehow leaps between defenders and makes the catch all the way to the 32-yard line.
Well, that's really something right there. Ross Cockrell, number 31 for the Steelers, he's in a great position to play this route. You see he's over the top. Carson Palmer decides to give John Brown an opportunity anyway, and he goes up and makes a play. It's an outstanding job by John Brown, who is having a great season here through 5 games.
And he had an outstanding rookie season. In fact, set all Cardinal records for receptions and receiving yards by a first-year player. And this is Andre Ellington, not Chris Johnson, on first down. Ellington began the year as a starter, so we'll see he and Johnson today. Fitzgerald, a renaissance year again.
Well, Larry Fitzgerald, yeah. I mean, you talked about Carson Palmer. Some thought maybe his best days were behind him. They were saying the same thing about Larry Fitzgerald a couple years ago. And boy, this year he has stepped out. He's off to a great start, making a lot of plays, getting down the field, and a big part of some of the explosive offensive plays that we've seen from the Cardinals here this year.
28 plays after that 45-yard reception a moment ago of 20 or more yards.
Timeout, Arizona. That's their first. It's a 30-second timeout.
It was very interesting this week that neither Arians nor Mike Tomlin were willing to take the bait, if you will, about how big a deal it was when Arians was not brought back as offensive coordinator. Ben Roethlisberger, a huge fan of Arians, and you know, as fate would have it, Troy, he gets a chance to become a head coach, and the rest is history.
Yeah, I mean, at the time that all that was going on, I'm sure that Bruce Arians was not happy about it. This game here today means a lot to him, and coming back, and I know he's been here, you know, in preseason, that's entirely different. He hasn't said much. Mike Tomlin hasn't said much. Whatever happened, happened. But I can assure you that this is a very meaningful game for Bruce Arians.
Second down and 3 after the timeout. Johnson checks into the backfield. Loose football. Still scrambling around for it. Couple of big bodies getting tangled up. Harrison at the bottom of the pile. And Jermaine Gresham able to recover the football.
Well, Chris Johnson didn't look like he was even expecting the ball as he comes off. It was just some indecisiveness all the way. Once Carson Palmer gets the snap from center, he comes back, and as he goes to hand it off, you see there's not even much of a pocket there by Chris Johnson. The ball's on the ground, and they are fortunate to get back on that.
Steve McClendon was all over Johnson roughly about the time he was ready to get that football. 3rd and 10. All day to throw. Incomplete with an eye on Fitzgerald, and that's William Gay in coverage. A penalty flag behind the line of scrimmage.
After the play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness offense, number 70. Piled on a player that was already on the ground. That's a 15-yard penalty, and it's 4th down.
Well, they get right tackle Bobby Massey right here at the left edge of the screen. Once he was on the ground, and he comes and pile drives him, and a costly penalty. They open up this possession with the big play down the field to John Brown, and they're unable to capitalize on it. Now here they are punting almost at midfield.
And they're punting to a very dangerous Mr. Brown. Antonio standing back at the 10-yard line. Right at the 10. Slips a tackle. Still on his feet. Solid return up to the 17-yard line. So Michael Vick and the Steelers get it when we return. Those score in Pittsburgh.
Sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, no fares, nothing to hide.
Michael Vick making his 3rd start after replacing the injured Ben Roethlisberger in St. Louis 3 weeks ago. He only had 8 completions going into the 4th quarter last week, and then all of a sudden hit the big long touchdown pass to Marcus Wheaton and led him on the game-winning drive, 80 yards.
It wasn't pretty, but they found a way to win that game, and I know Mike Tomlin, he'll take one just like it here this afternoon.
Wait, Eddie!
A steady dose of this guy today, and that is Le'Veon Bell, and he is dropped for a loss. This has been a rock-solid Arizona defense, especially against the run. And there are playmakers on this Steelers offense. Bell and Brown, the big names. Martavis Bryant plays for the first time this year.
Boy, and they were really talking up Martavis Bryant. He was suspended for the first 4 games. Expected a big day from him last week, but he got injured during the week of practice, and expect a lot of balls in his area here this afternoon.
Be keeping an eye on Patrick Peterson getting locked up today with Antonio Brown. Brown dragged down after a 2-yard loss, and on defense, maybe not a lot of big names, but some big-time players.
Well, their playmakers is what they are. You look at their secondary in particular, they have done an outstanding job through 5 games of creating a short field for their offense. They've intercepted balls, they've returned them for touchdowns. Michael Vick, when he throws the ball, he better be precise with that football because they will make him pay.
Making his Arizona Cardinal debut, Dwight Freeney checks into the game for the first time. Freeney, a 7-time Pro Bowler, and Vick fires. Should have been intercepted. The Cardinals have 11 interceptions so far this year, 3 returned for touchdowns.
Well, Dwight Freeney, they picked him up, and he's on the field here on 3rd down, coming after the quarterback. And Michael Vick, extremely fortunate right here. The Tyrann Mathieu, he normally will make this play. Seen it time after time. He gets a great jump. When you're throwing the ball to the outside, you can't be late, you can't be behind the receiver, or they're going to intercept. Very fortunate.
And a very short punt, a poor punt by Jordan Berry. The 3 and out on the first series for Pittsburgh, and great field position for Arizona when we come back.
Today's game is sponsored by Bud Light, who reminds fans to stay in the game and drink responsibly.
That's a statue of Mr. Rogers. Pittsburgh, PA was his neighborhood all those years on television. Second possession for the highest scoring team in the NFL. 190 points so far this year in 5 games for the Big Red. Chris Johnson for maybe a yard, wrapped up by Cockrell.
Well, you mentioned how explosive they've been offensively, Tom, in terms of scoring points, and there's a lot of reasons for that. One is to go back to what I said earlier, is the turnovers or the takeaways that their defense has created, and then they've returned some of those for touchdowns. Certainly that has padded those numbers, but they've been about as balanced as any team offensively in the league. They've had big plays running the ball, they've had big plays in the passing game, and all of those things have attributed to a lot of points on the scoreboard.
Second down, we'll call it 8. Palmer crossing pattern to Fitzgerald. Of course, Larry played collegiately right here at the University of Pittsburgh, but this is his first time playing in Pittsburgh as a pro. Steelers on defense, they are very excited about what they're getting from Steven Tuitt. We'll keep an eye on Bud Dupree, the rookie who leads them in sacks.
Well, I think that defensive front, when you talk about Tuitt, Cameron Hayward, then in the middle they've got Steve McClendon, and they do an excellent job of pushing the pocket. So when you got big guys who can play the run and push the pocket the way that they have, this defense probably playing better than a lot of people anticipated coming into the year.
Palmer wide open. Inside the 10-yard line is Andre Ellington. Palmer having to throw that ball on the run. If he sets his feet, that's an easy touchdown, but it's 1st and goal.
Yeah, Ross Cockrell, he was forced with a decision. Was he going to stay on the receiver or come up and then try to make a play on Carson Palmer, assuming that he runs? And yeah, Carson would like to have that throw back, no question. He's got him wide open for a touchdown. Just nobody in the area. Fortunate even to make that reception. Not an easy catch.
First and goal. This is Johnson. Cuts it back to the inside the 5, down to the 2-yard line. Stephen Tuitt slowing him down and forcing it back to the inside.
Well, here's where Arizona's been awfully good. Down here in the red zone, they don't typically come away from these areas of the field without coming away with 6 points.
In fact, these are the top 2 red zone offensive teams in the NFL. Now, there is a significant difference in the number of times each of them has been inside the red zone. They bring David Johnson into the game. When they get inside the 5, they're going to throw it here. Cameron Hayward applying big-time pressure on Palmer. Yeah, the only team to slow him down this year was St. Louis, and that's because they got pressure to Palmer.
Well, they didn't have much of a chance on this play as Cameron Hayward comes in and lays out Carson Palmer. I can assure you Bruce Arians does not want to see this. But they had 2 guys. They had John Brown and Jerron Brown in the same area of the field, and just no opportunity. That was a breakdown then in the routes.
3rd and goal. And a touchdown to Michael Floyd. That's his first touchdown of the year. Only his 9th catch of the season. And Arizona on the board. It looked like that ball may have been tipped at the line of scrimmage.
It came out kind of funny. I think it did too. It sure did. Got a hand on it there, and fortunate that they were still able to get the completion. Sean Spence is the one who got a hand on it. But look at the release there by Michael Floyd off the line of scrimmage against Antoine Blake. An excellent job as the inside receiver, starting out to the outside and then coming underneath it and giving Carson Palmer just a clean shot on the throw.
Chandler Catanzaro on for the point after out of the hold of Drew Butler, and it is good. So a defensive stop, working on a short field. Tip pass, Lady Luck on the side of Floyd and the Cardinals. An early 7-0 lead.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by DraftKings. Free one-week fantasy football at DraftKings.com. By Jurassic World on Blu-ray and DVD October 20th. And by Pizza Hut. Bring home the flavor with a twisted crust pizza.
Where the Steelers practice every day, and of course everywhere you walk, reminded of the great history of this franchise. 6 Super Bowl titles, but on the short end of a 7-0 game here in the opening quarter. Tree Archer, a yard out of his own end zone. Flag down, steps out of bounds at the 22. We wait on the penalty.
During the return, holding by the receiving team, number 45. That's enforced from the spot of the foul, half the distance to the goal. Pittsburgh keeps the ball, first down.
That's Will Nix, a backup fullback.
Arizona goes 2 verticals here, and you're going to see the safety. He's got to make a decision. He's got to cover one of those 2 guys. He's going to try to split them and play both. He takes the inside receiver. It opens things up then for Andre Ellington. Ross Cockrell not able to continue to carry that with the threat of Carson Palmer, and that's what opened it up. And for a moment there, Tom, it looked like Ellington maybe didn't make that catch. And go back and look at it, and I think that he did, but it was obviously a big play that set up the touchdown.
Fake it one way. Vick from his own end zone. And able to spin out of there and get to the 2. Calais Campbell, a Pro Bowler for the first time a year ago. He has been rock solid over his 8 years with Arizona.
Yeah, he's really good. And if you're going to be able to hold up in pass protection, you better account for this guy right here, because he can wreak havoc wherever he lines up. An excellent job of getting back to Vick. Vick fortunate to get it back out of the end zone. I'll tell you, this possession right here, Tom, the Steelers have had problems throughout the year with penalties in their kicking game that have backed up their offense. It's hard enough to move the football without your starting quarterback, let alone having these penalties.
Yeah, Roosevelt Nix had the penalty on the punt. Now Vick just has to throw it into the air, and Peterson knocks it down. He had an eye on Antonio Brown, who was wide open down the field. There is a penalty flag in the end zone.
Well, he had some opportunities down the field. You see Antonio Brown, he had another shot
Personal
on the
foul,
opposite
roughing
side.
the passer. Defense, number 44. Helmet-to-helmet contact. 15 yards, automatic first down.
That's a huge break for the Steelers. They get the rookie Marcus Golden, who's making his first start of his career today.
And I thought Marcus Golden, I mean, by the rule, I think Ed Hockley gets it right that there was helmet-to-helmet contact, but you could tell that Golden was coming in. He wasn't trying to be malicious in his hit. He was trying to be careful in terms of Vick going down to the ground. You hate to see that kind of call.
Unless you're holding a yellow towel. Le'Veon Bell, bottled up. Maybe a half yard.
Now you go back and you take another look at this, and it's not much, but they're going to protect these quarterbacks at all costs. You can see Bruce Arians doesn't like it. I don't much care for it either, but you know, that's the way the rule reads now. But I thought Marcus Golden, who I'm excited to watch play today, what I've seen of him already this year as a young player, he's got some real ability and did a nice job getting back there, but Vick's got to get the ball out of his hands a little bit quicker.
The Cardinals are playing without Alex Okafor here today, so Golden getting a start. Bell off the left side up to the 25-yard line. Third down coming up. And we check in for the first time today with Kurt back in Los Angeles.
Well, the Jets may be one of the more surprising teams so far this season. Chris Ivory trying to get them to 4-1. That touchdown from a yard out ties the score with Washington in the first quarter. Tom, Troy, and Peter.
All right, Kurt, thank you. A third down and a yard here for the Steelers. We got a big break on that penalty against Golden a moment ago.
120. Lady, listen.
And Bell is dropped 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Well, what a player Dayon Buchanan has become. A first-round pick a year ago. He's Arizona's leading tackler.
Yeah, he's a great player, and he's always around the line of scrimmage. He essentially plays linebacker. He just shoots the gap. He's able to get there and make a play on Le'Veon Bell, and just an outstanding job. We've seen Pittsburgh in long down situations. They finally make it to third and manageable, third and short, and unable to convert.
A very short punt a moment ago. This one returnable for Patrick Peterson. And he'll step out of bounds at the 42. Second straight possession with very good field position. Palmer and the Cardinals look to add to a touchdown lead. 13 quarterbacks drafted in the year of 2003. Carson Palmer, the Heisman Trophy winner out of USC, drafted number 1. He is the only one still active in the NFL.
He's playing awfully well. He spent a lot of time, in talking with Bruce Arians. Maybe you start to lose a little bit of arm strength, but he's worked so much on his core and his leg strength that you wouldn't tell watching him. As he's gotten older, he's continued to take great care of his body.
That 14th touchdown pass, the most in franchise history through this point in the year. Tip ball, and it looks like Lauren Timmons has taken it away for Pittsburgh. That is only the 4th interception thrown this year by Palmer. It looked like he tried to force it in there.
He's trying to fit one into Jermaine Gresham, and the ball comes off of him, and Lawrence Timmons does just an excellent job of being aware and knowing where the ball is, and the catch that he makes here is exceptional. Hey, that's exactly what this Pittsburgh defense needed. Down 7-0. The offense has been struggling a little bit. Arizona has great field position to start this drive, and ricochets off Gresham. A big turnover.
Well, we'll see if the Steelers can do anything on offense. There has been none of that so far, and apparently Arians looking for a flag, which does not come.
Listen.
Vic rolling, and he'll just tuck it away, and a pretty nice pickup on first down. A gain of close to 8 on first down. Let's check in downstairs with Peter.
Tom, a lot was made last week of just how involved Ben Roethlisberger was in the game planning and also in the in-game coaching. Today we're 2 offensive drives in. It's been mostly Todd Haley speaking with Michael Vick and backup Landry Jones. Ben has been a bit removed from the huddle and on the sidelines here. Seems more coach and backup doing the talking.
Well, they credited Ben Roethlisberger with the call that got Marcus Wheaton the big touchdown last week. And Todd Haley said it was more Darius Hayward-Bay in his input.
This is D'Angelo Williams, who started the first 2 games of the year when Bell was suspended. He ran for better than 100 yards in week 1. Week 2 had 3 rushing touchdowns. And, of course, he is Carolina's all-time rushing leader.
Well, D'Angelo Williams, he was important, obviously, the first couple weeks of the season. Then they get their horseback in Le'Veon Bell, and hasn't had nearly the opportunities that he was getting, but a very unselfish player. And when you've got Le'Veon Bell in your backfield, you're going to feed him the ball.
Well, 3rd and 1 they couldn't convert. We'll see about 3rd and 3. And Vic to throw it. And not getting there is Martavis Bryant. That is his first catch and it's his first game. And again, it's Tyrann Mathieu in his 3rd year out of LSU that saw that coming all the way.
Well, Mathieu does an outstanding job. Marcus Wheaton is trying to block Mathieu so that they can get Bryant. Here's Marcus Wheaton. That's Brian Wheaton is number 11. He comes up and he's trying to make the block, and he doesn't make it. Mathieu just goes right through him, and so another 3rd down and another punt for the Steelers.
Peterson will let it bounce. And down. We're touched by a Steeler. Now that ball is loose as a Cardinal unbelievably went to pick the ball up. And have they signaled it a touchdown? They have not officially yet. Once that ball was touched, the ball was already down. That's Brandon Boykin.
Now once Brandon Boykin touches the ball, then you've got the Cardinals who have an opportunity to try to advance it without penalty.
the ball was first touched by number 25 of the kicking team. Therefore, the receiving team has the right to take the ball at that spot. It's Arizona's ball at the 2-yard line. First down.
But momentarily that ball had hit a Cardinal initially, which it did not.
And once the ball's touched there by Brandon Boykin, it kind of opens it up for the Cardinals and to try to make a play on the ball without risk of losing possession.
Arizona gets it inside the 3. Arizona with a football inside their own 2-yard line. Chris Johnson in the backfield on first down. And Johnson straight ahead across the 5. Of course, Johnson came out of East Carolina, drafted by Tennessee. His first 6 years in the league, he ran for better than 1,000 yards. In 2009, better than 2,000, one of only 7 players to ever do that. Wound up being released, spent last year in a limited role with the New York Jets. And then they brought him in very late during the preseason this year. And what a pickup he has turned out to be.
He's been amazing. I mean, he's been the best free agent acquisition at the running back position. A lot of talk in Philadelphia, DeMarco Murray, but this guy, he's been better than any of them.
Give it to him again. Breaks it to the outside. First down and more to the 15. Second most rushing yards in the NFC belong to Johnson. And among the top 5 in all of football, he has the highest number in yards per carry at over 5.
Well, how about this possession right here? You know, you're backed up and you're able to hand the ball to him. He picks up 4 yards on the first down run and then hand it to him again, and he picks up a first down and you're off and running. And, you know, they haven't been able to do that in Arizona very much over the years. So the running game has really helped. This offense has especially helped Carson Palmer.
2:20 to play here in the quarter. Oh, best chance right there. Jerron Brown wide open. And we check in once more. Back in L.A. with Kurt Menefee.
And the Bengals bounce back against the Bills. Andy Dalton out of the backfield. Jeremy Hill, 13 yards, a little shimmy and dive. It's only even at 7 in the first quarter. Tom, Troy, and Peter.
Well, Troy, you've been setting up shop 2 weeks in a row now in this AFC North. You saw that unbelievable comeback last year by the unbeaten Bengals a week ago.
Yeah, I like Cincinnati. They're a complete team. I think this Arizona team's right there as far as the more complete teams that I've seen here in the early part of the year.
Fitzgerald denied the first down. It'll bring up third down and short. Wrapped up by his teammate for 1 year, 2 years ago, William Gay.
You know, when we talk about the Cardinals running game, and the Steelers defense has been good against the run really all season long. Baltimore had some success running the football, but beyond that, they've been solid. But Arizona, they've been able to get a few things going, and a nice second down catch by Larry Fitzgerald to turn this into a 3rd and 2.
And look at these numbers so far. But it's only a 1-score game. Under 2 to go in the opening quarter, 3rd and 2. David Johnson, and the rookie picks up the first down. Tell you what, they're not running it a lot, but they are averaging over 6.5 yards a carry through this first quarter thus far.
Now, this offensive line, just an excellent job, and they've created some lanes, and they do a really good job here on 3rd down. You're going to see these guys pull out to the right side, and he's got a convoy out in front of him, and an easy pickup then for the first down. And I know that Bruce Arians, they bring in a guy like Mike Upati, they get Jonathan Cooper back at right guard, and he said this line has been built to run the football. It's what they want to do, and then play action, and they've got it going again here this afternoon.
Down the middle of the field. And that is John Brown, 2nd year out of Pittsburgh State. And another Arizona first down, a gain of 15.
You're going to see what speed does for a wide receiver. When you threaten Cockrell deep, it creates separation. And you don't really have to be a great route runner then when you have that kind of speed. Having said that, when you've got great speed and you're a good route runner like John Brown, you're almost impossible to cover. And there's a lot of speed on this field offensively, both for the Steelers as well as for the Arizona Cardinals. And that's an excellent job by John Brown.
Drive started at their own 2-yard line. 7th play on it. Johnson crossing midfield and barrels his way for a gain of 8 to the Steeler 45-yard line. And that will be the final play of this opening quarter. Statistically dominated by the Cardinals, but only 7-0 on the scoreboard. We're back after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Been a pretty quiet crowd, understandably so. Not much going on offensively for the Steelers in this opening quarter. A total of 5 yards of offense.
98. Go. 190.
Second down and 2. They'll stay on the ground. Johnson met by Cameron Hayward, former #1 pick out of Ohio State. He is their defensive captain, has become a real leader.
Well, Cameron Hayward gets right through the line and makes a big play in the backfield, and they're asking Darren Fells. It looked like it was Jared Valdir, the left tackle, but that block was asking a lot to try to slow down Cameron Hayward. So an excellent job by him getting into the backfield and making a stop.
And again, wearing under his eyes the eye black, remembering his father, Ironhead Hayward, of course, who played collegiately right here at Pitt. He was fined for wearing that a week ago, and he'll be fined again this week. 3rd down and 5. Looking for the big one. Into double coverage and broken up. Blake and Mike Mitchell able to knock it away, and so very good field position once they got this drive going, and now they'll punt it.
I'm a little surprised Carson Palmer attempted this ball, even though John Brown still had a chance to come down with it. Mike Mitchell, the safety, he's deep in the middle. He's there, and 2 guys there to make a play.
Drive started at their own 2-yard line. They had a 2nd and 2, and it comes to an end at midfield. Of course, we remember breast cancer during this month in the NFL. Ironhead lost to cancer, and his son remembers today.
Today's Game on Fox is sponsored by Ford. We go further so you can. By DirecTV. Don't just watch TV, DirecTV. And by Miller Lite. Back in its original bottle, but not for long. It's Miller time.
It's really beautiful. You come in from the airport, go through the tunnel, through a mountain, and there it is. Downtown Pittsburgh.
We don't get a chance to get to Pittsburgh often, but we sure enjoy coming here to the Steel City.
Wait, 80. What is it?
Well, we'll see if this bears any fruit, this Steeler drive. A good first down run, close to a first down for Le'Veon Bell. You included 3 drives today. It's 35 drives with Michael Vick so far under center. 35 drives have produced a total of 40 points. Only twice in the 35 drives do they have more than 2 first downs.
I know in talking with Michael Vick on Friday, he'd be the first to tell you that it's still a work in progress for him. He was picked up in August. He's still trying to get comfortable with his offense.
Le'Veon again. And he picks up the first down on 2nd and less than a yard.
So much of what they have done and what they did with Roethlisberger in the first few games was at the line of scrimmage, as so many of these quarterbacks are doing. And so, they come up and they give you a look to the outside to Antonio Brown, and you get one-on-one and you take a shot and you take advantage of those things. And Todd Haley, as the offensive coordinator, it's been challenging for him to get Vick into plays that he's comfortable with, and then to get him into positive situations where he can allow these guys to make plays.
3 in a row on this drive for Le'Veon Bell. And he is chopped down close to 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage. And again, it's Dayon Buchanan. And we have an injured Steeler down on the play. That's a left tackle, Kelvin Beachum. Great story. Example of hard work ethic, and we would recommend, if you're a bit squeamish, don't watch this injury.
You always worry about that kind of injury when you're an offensive lineman. You got a lot of bodies in there, and you hope that he's okay. It certainly does not look good. And now they got the undrafted first-year player, Villanueva, who is playing at left tackle.
Villanueva, of course, is a remarkable story. Second down and broken up. Boy, this is a ball-hawking secondary. Just the secondary alone with 10 interceptions and 4 forced fumbles already this year.
Well, they've got a shot. They're in the intermediate zone, but you're going to see Rashad Johnson, who he comes up and he makes a big-time hit and dislodges the ball then from Marcus Wheaton as he's driving across the field. And you're right, this secondary, they do a great job of recognizing formations and tendencies within the routes, and then once they get a beat on the ball, they're breaking on it pretty hard.
They forced 6 turnovers in their win over the Lions last week. 4 interceptions, 2 fumbles. Steelers 0 for 3 on third down. They're going to run for the first down. And we know he could do that. And a flag comes in late. Gerard Powers is signaling a hold against the Steelers. We'll find out from Ed Hockley momentarily. Hockley will come over and visit with Bruce Arians. See what he wants to do. It looks like it's going his way.
Watch Le'Veon Bell here. This was a designed run the entire way. It was not a scramble. He's going to come up. He's going to make a block.
Back by the receiving team, number 11. The penalty is declined. It's 4th down.
That's Marcus Wheaton.
And Marcus Wheaton is the wide receiver. He was coming up to make a block as well. It's just quarterback draw. Try to pick up as much yardage as they can. He was on the outside of the screen. Here's a better look. I don't like that call at all. He's blocking on the outside, and as the defender starts to run away from him, I didn't see much of a block, and I think that was a bad call.
So the Steelers once more will punt. Peterson from the 15, very dangerous. And out across the 30, close to the 35. 3 minutes into the second quarter. And Arizona a 7-0 lead.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by FanDuel, the leader in one-week fantasy football.
Larry Fitzgerald, of course, grew up in the Twin Cities, but played collegiately here at Pitt. Only played 26 games, but he had over 160 catches in his jersey retired here at the University of Pittsburgh. First time he's played here as a pro. Pitt played their college games when Fitzgerald wore the Panther uniform. First down to Johnson. Run momentarily and fumble that ball. No.
You talk about Larry Fitzgerald. We all know what he is as a receiver catching the football, but this is what separates him, I think, from some of the really superstar wide receivers in this league. He does a lot of the dirty work, willing to block. Some of those guys, I can assure you that they don't want to get in there and do a lot of the dirty work. He'll do whatever's asked, and he's good at it. The Steelers' defense, I mean, as dominating as it has been for Arizona in this first half, waiting for their offense to get going, the Steelers, that is, defense hanging in there just like they did on Monday night.
Palmer gets it away, and again it's Fitzgerald. He beat Timmons and across midfield. A penalty flag is behind the line of scrimmage.
Personal foul, chop block by the back and the left tackle. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Repeat second down.
It was actually the right guard. It was Jonathan Cooper who pulled out, and there was a miscommunication on who was blocking who, and that's why Gay had a free run at Carson Palmer. They both took the same guy coming off the edge. It freed up Gay, but that's why they called the illegal block, as the back was engaged and Cooper came in and took him low.
Arizona, one of the least penalized teams in the league. In fact, both of these teams are. But today, that is 3 personal foul penalties against the Big Red. First and 25 from the 22. Fitzgerald got a good block. Cross at 35 and a lot more. Fitzgerald crosses midfield and all the way down to the 35-yard line for Larry Fitzgerald.
Well, that sure is set up well, and you see as Larry Fitzgerald works back in towards the formation, they do a good job of leading out with the left tackle, Jared Valdir. Darren Fells was also involved in the block, and then it's just a foot race with Larry Fitzgerald. So they're backed up in a long down situation and a big-time gain there by Fitzgerald to get the first down and more.
Take a look at that. I'm not sure this time a year ago anybody would have believed that, even from Fitzgerald. But he would have more receptions of 20 yards or longer than anybody in the league. Palmer, incomplete, good coverage downfield by Golden, and we send it way out to LA and check in with Kurt Menefee.
Benched last week, Matthew Stafford has come back. Seven of his first 8 passes were completions, including 2 for touchdowns. That one to Tim Wright put them on top of Chicago, 14-10 in the second quarter. Tom Troy.
Of course, these Lions looked terrible last week against this Arizona team.
Well, there was some motivation for Matthew Stafford. They were so far behind, they pulled him. They pulled Carson in the fourth quarter, but they were up by 30 points. He didn't even get to finish the game.
Chris Johnson to the 30. It'll bring up 3rd down and 6. You know, a story's been told many times about Johnson. In March of this year, he's riding in a car in his hometown of Orlando, Florida. Car pulls up next to him, opens gunfire, and were it not for Johnson looking down to check on a text message, one of the bullets would have gone right into the side of the head and wound up lodging in his shoulder. Another man died in that shooting, and that bullet is still in his shoulder. 3rd down and 5. Incomplete. Gay in coverage of Fitzgerald. So, you know, as much as Arizona has moved the ball, at the end of the day, when they need to make a play, they've only been able to do it on one drive. In this game, they'll punt again.
Well, Bruce Arians really hot over there on the sidelines, and it looked like William Gay may have gotten there a little bit early on Larry Fitzgerald, trying to go through his back to make a play, and Bruce Arians, he was running. He took off after the official trying to get the call.
Well, he's decided to give a long one a shot here. 47 yards by Catanzaro. No good. This is one of the most difficult venues in the NFL to kick field goals in. And Catanzaro hooks it left. Still just a 7-0 game. Fitzgerald very upset that he did not get this call.
Yeah, it was close. I mean, it's hard to tell exactly. You see the right arm of Gay around Fitzgerald. Hard to tell exactly if there was contact prior to the ball. Clearly, he was coming through the back. But as I said, Bruce Arians certainly thought so.
Le'Veon Bell, and that'll be a gain of 11 on first down. Saw Kelvin Beachum leave as a flag comes in late one more time. That was well after the tackle had been made right at midfield.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness defense, number 51. 15 yards, first down.
That is 4 of them here in not even a quarter and a half against Arizona.
Well, you see 72, Cody Wallace. He comes in a little bit late. Looked like he might have been losing his footing a little bit. Minter takes exception to it. He comes back and retaliates, and he's the guy who gets the flag, which is typically the case. So pretty nice run there by Le'Veon Bell, but a costly penalty on this Cardinals defense.
Of course, Wallace is replacing their Pro Bowl center, Marquise Pouncey. Bell trying to slip a tackle. Another penalty flag comes in. But up earlier, these are two of the least penalized teams in football. That has not been a story so far today. This will be the second one against the Steelers.
Holding offense, number 72. 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
And again, that is Wallace. Peter, what do we know about the injury to Kelvin Beachum?
Kelvin Beachum went to the locker room. He is doubtful to return. It's a left knee injury. Worth noting, the entirety of that Arizona drive, it was Ben Roethlisberger sitting with him over there on the table. Roethlisberger, of course, dealing with a leg injury of his own.
And the man who is replacing Beachum is one of the most amazing stories in all of the National Football League. And that is Alejandro Villanueva. His dad was a commander in the Spanish Navy, went to high school in Belgium, was recruited to come to the Army Academy, as there is a pitch to Bell, which goes nowhere. When he went to college, he started as a tight end, moved to left tackle. His senior year, he went to wide receiver. Then it was off to the military. 3 different tours in Afghanistan as an Army Ranger captain. Did not play football for 5 years. Philadelphia brought him in as a defensive end last year, worked him out a little bit at tight end. He has gained almost 100 pounds, and after the Steelers signed him to their practice squad, he is getting regular playing time and now working with the first unit. Flag down, and Vic to Antonio Brown. It's intercepted, but that might have been a free play for Michael Vick. Peterson, the interception, down by the goal line.
Well, that should be coming back, Tom. It was a free play for...
Offside, defense, number 97. 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Josh Morrow.
You see 97 there, Josh Morrow, and so the flag comes out. Vic, I'm assuming, knew that he had a free shot, so he takes a shot. He throws it into coverage, seeing what can happen, knowing that the ball is going to come back regardless of whether or not it's intercepted, which it was. But to follow up on Villanueva, this is kid stuff compared to what he's been through.
Oh, yeah. Well, he's an incredible young man. They're going to run it. And very close to a first down. Needed to get to the 27-yard line. Tripped up by Peterson.
Now, this is what the Steelers coaches have really been encouraging Michael Vick to do. They said, hey, if you see a lane and you see those guys with their backs to you, don't you be afraid to tuck it and get what you can, because he's still a threat running the football. And he made a big run last Monday night against the Chargers, which helped set up that winning touchdown. They're going to check Michael Vick right now. When he goes down to the ground, he got up, and Hockey Lee felt that he looked like he might be a little bit dazed. And now he's going to have to come out for a play. Mike Tomlin, he wants to have a talk here with Ed Hockey Lee and see what this is all about. And I think this is the one area the league is certainly being very cautious, but this is when you talk to coaches and, you know, the officials jump in and they decide that a player needs to come out, whether he feels that he does or not. Then now you've got your starting quarterback who's sitting over on the bench.
As a former quarterback, how do you feel about that, Troy?
Well, I think the steps that are being taken by the league are all positive. You know, I mean, are they being taken too far? Maybe at times, but you'd rather err on the side of caution. But now we get a look at Landry Jones on a 3rd and 1. I would imagine that he'll turn and hand it off.
Bruce Gradkowski was a backup to Ben Roethlisberger. He got hurt at the end of training camp, and they can't even convert on a 3rd and 1.
Well, they've had a lot of 3rd and shorts here in this first half that they have failed to convert on, and that was a big thing coming into the game, was running the football, getting it to third and medium, third and short, and then staying on the field. They've done the first two things, but they haven't been able to convert, just like they weren't able to convert last week or the week before. That's been an area where they have just, or a down, I should say, where they've been really bad here the last 2.5 weeks.
That was the first snap in the career of quarterback Landry Jones since he left Oklahoma 3 years ago. Field goal try. Steelers on their 4th kicker this year, and they may have found a keeper in Boswell. He hit his first one last week, his only try from 47. This one from 47. And in a game statistically that has been dominated by the Cardinals, it is a 7-3 game. Mike Pereira, I want to check in with you back in Los Angeles about the concussion protocol now used in the NFL. What's Ed Hockley basically seeing there?
What he's doing is he's following the guidelines that he has been told recently to do, which is to make sure that he gets anybody that he suspects might have any head or neck injury off the field. They do not want to have to rely on the certified athletic trainer upstairs and have them call down and have them remove Vic from the field. So when you see Ed looking at Michael Vick right there, he's making his personal assessment, and then he sends him off the field, and that means then that he has to go through the protocol on the sidelines.
Well, you look at Michael Vick there on the bench, and everybody's smiling and having a good time. It appears that he's going to be fine. We'll see him back in the action. Him not being in the game there on 3rd down certainly didn't impact anything. They don't convert, but in all likelihood they would have handed it off even with Vick. But to follow up with Mike and what you asked, Tom, I do, clearly we all are of the mind that we want to see this game safer and safer, and I applaud the league for taking the necessary steps.
7-3 game. David Johnson 5 yards from his own end zone and is denied reaching the 20. Well, tomorrow night, game 3 of the American League Championship Series. The scene shifts to Toronto. Blue Jays are down 2-0 to the defending American League champion Royals. It's on FS1 tomorrow night. Johnny Cueto, the former Red turned Royal, so brilliant in game 5 of the division series. Stroman gets the ball for Toronto.
Well, the Blue Jays are going to try to do to the Royals what they did to my Rangers. Come back from 0-2.
Your Rangers.
My Rangers.
They are. They're really your Rangers when they make the playoffs. There's a throw to the tight end, and it's broken up. Good coverage out there. Golden has played a total of 4 years in the NFL. This is his first NFL start, replacing the injured Will Allen.
Yeah, he came in on Monday night, and I know in visiting with Mike Tomlin, he was expecting him to have a better outing here this afternoon with a week's preparation under his belt leading into it. You get into the game like that, and you're just trying to get lined up and not make a big mistake. And this week, they wanted to see him disguise coverages a little bit better. Phillip Rivers had some success. Didn't want to see the same thing with Carson Palmer.
Tell you what, Troy, you made the comment a moment ago about this Steeler defense. They continue to hang in there, hang in there, hang in there. Cardinals have had big chances, and now they're making big plays.
Well, look at Cameron Hayward and the job that he does just working through the block, and penetration once again in the backfield. And when you watch the Steelers play this year, they've done an excellent job really all season of being disruptive with those big guys down in the trenches.
Arizona averages nearly 5 yards per rush. That is not the story here today. 28 points in that second quarter rout of the Lions. They've been shut out in the second stanza today. Palmer delivers on the money to Michael Floyd.
Yeah, that's a big-time catch right there by Michael Floyd. Carson Palmer expected him to continue on the move. Floyd started to pull up a little bit, and as a result, he then has to lay out. That's just all strong hands and be able to haul that in and make the play. So a big 3rd down conversion. The crowd was getting behind the Steelers there prior to that play, and with that catch, it'll quiet him down a little bit. But the Cardinals have dominated this first half, but yet the defense for the Steelers have tightened up when they've had to, and just a 7-3 game.
Johnson off to the left side. James Harrison still going strong after all these years. The pride of Akron, Ohio, went to Kent State. Undrafted, cut 3 times, became the NFL's Defensive Player of the Year, one of the great defenders over the last decade and a half.
He's 37, as you said, and still plays at a high level, Tom. I mean, they're trying to monitor his snaps, but he's so productive when he's on the field. He's probably playing more than what they had anticipated. And, you know, who can forget that when these two teams met in the Super Bowl, that 100-plus yard interception return before the half.
Ellington out of the backfield. And that's the thing about this Arizona team. For many of you, maybe you haven't seen the Cardinals play a lot. They have so many weapons, and the last 2 ball handlers are perhaps the best example. Ellington, back-to-back years, over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. He's been hurt. Floyd's been a forgotten man, but a big-time player.
Well, they run the screen, and they got the blitz coming off the other side, and it gave Ellington some room to run. But, yeah, they've got a plethora of running backs to get the ball to. I mean, some really dynamic guys, and trying to utilize them all, that's the challenge.
Great protection. Fells, the tight end, close to another first down, maybe a yard short. When I get back to Michael Floyd, I mean, this was the guy the last 2 years that was the best Arizona receiver. Coming into the game today, he had a total of 8 catches all year long. Now, that was stunted in large part due to a very serious hand injury during training camp.
Well, 5 of those catches came in one game against the St. Louis Rams, so he hasn't really been involved much in those other games. I think it says a couple things. One is the job that Larry Fitzgerald has done, as we pointed out, and then John Brown just kind of took control of that job while Floyd was out with the injury.
In the hands of Floyd, and that's the first down. And you saw the disparity, and man, is a disparity in passing yards in this game. Arizona over 200, the Steelers -6. But we keep coming back to the fact that despite all the numbers in the world, only 2 of the numbers you're looking at on your screen right now mean anything. And that's 7-3.
Well, right now, defensive coordinator Keith Butler, who's in his first season, taking over for Dick LeBeau. This is a big possession here at the end of this first half. They're able to hold the Cardinals to a field goal attempt. Keep it a 1-possession game be huge.
Good tackle coming down the line by Vince Williams. This will take us to the 2-minute warning. Keith Butler hoping his defense can get a stop. Get apps, videos, and so much more at iTunes.com/NFL. 1:58 to go, 7-3 in favor of Arizona.
There's a look at Ben Roethlisberger. We saw him helping Beachum off the field earlier when he got hurt and calling plays last week. He's pretty involved. Right now, he's staying a little ways away from everyone.
And again, it's Michael Floyd on the reception. Floyd's on his way to having as many catches in this game as he's had all year.
Well, he made the big reception there on 3rd and long and keep this drive alive, and they've been feeding him the ball on this possession. Like I say, you start taking care of Fitzgerald, you handle John Brown, you got to deal with a guy like Michael Floyd, and then the backs coming out of the backfield. But as I said, this is a Pittsburgh offense that has struggled once again here in this first half. A lot dependent on this defense, especially right here at the end of the half, not to give up another 6 points.
Going to throw it on first down. Palmer underthrows an open receiver in the end zone. And that was John Brown.
Carson, he's been a little off on some throws today. I mean, one of the things that he's really good at is putting the ball where he wants to, but we've seen a few short throws, and he had a chance. We see Fells leave the field now, but he had a chance to John Brown to the corner, which would have been an easy touchdown.
Tight end Fells leaving the game. See the numbers on Palmer. A touchdown on a tip pass into the hands of Floyd. And then the interception by Timmons. Play clock down to 5. Palmer rolling. There's a flag And this may go against Arizona. Floyd may have pushed off to get open. He caught it in the end zone, but I think they will throw the penalty flag on number 15 of Arizona.
Looked like they might have gotten Floyd as he's getting off the ball there, and he's trying to block. Initially, it looked like
pass interference offense, number 15, 10-yard penalty. Repeat second down.
Looked initially like maybe he was trying to make a block to free up David Johnson, then to the flat, and Bruce Arians, he didn't like that. He hadn't liked any of the calls that have been against him today, but I think that was a good call.
Bruce grew up about 3.5 hours east of Pittsburgh in York, Pennsylvania. Played collegiately as a wishbone quarterback at Virginia Tech.
Well, I think Bruce knows that as much as Arizona's dominated this first half, they just haven't been able to finish drives, and Steelers in a lot of ways are fortunate they're in this game.
So Arians going to spend a timeout after the penalty when we return. Turn back the clock on Bruce Arians. Look at those locks playing for Virginia Tech. An assistant under the legendary Bear Bryant. After a long time in the college ranks here in Pittsburgh and Indianapolis, took over as an interim coach for the ill Chuck Pagano. Take a look at that hair. Then and now.
None of those pictures look like the same guy. I'm not convinced they are.
Second down, Palmer finds Fitzgerald to the 13-yard line. It'll bring up third down and 9. We're under a minute 30 to go until halftime.
Well, big 3rd and 9, like I said, and for an offense now in this first half, just under 300 yards of total offense, and yet just 7 points to show for it. So the second half's going to get interesting regardless of what happens here. Can't let a team hang in the way that the Cardinals have throughout the first 30 minutes when you've dominated the way they have.
Most passing yards and a half this season for Palmer, but his team only 7 points. And a third down and 9. Steelers coming after him. Throws it to the back of the end zone, and it's broken up. Floyd looking for the flag, and it was Ross Cockrell who broke it up.
I'm not sure how you miss that as the official. They've thrown flags on just about everything that's moved here in this first half, and yet Cockrell is grabbing Floyd as he's trying to release off the ball, and it goes unnoticed.
So a 31-yard field goal try by Catanzaro, who missed a moment ago, but this one right down the middle. So, Troy, I guess look, at the end of the day, in just about anything in life, you adjust the lens as to how you want to see it oftentimes. And I want to ask you about the Cardinals for the time being. You've been in situations like this before. You've dominated a game statistically, but it looks like we might go to the break, and you're only up 7 points in the game.
Well, it's a little bit like what happened last week. When you looked at that game between the Steelers and the Chargers, the Chargers had some opportunities to really open that game up, but the defense played well enough to keep them in it, and then the offense comes around and makes some plays late in the game, and that's why I said to come in. Mike Tomlin, if the game goes just like it did last week, which right now it kind of is, he'll be perfectly happy as long as they come away with a win. They're trying to hold this thing together as best they can until they get Roethlisberger back, and they know how explosive this offense will look then. But looking at this game right here, Tom, this defense is doing a good job. I know they've gotten a lot of yards up against them, but yet to only be down 7 points, right here is a real accomplishment for this Steelers team.
Well, it looks like Michael Vick is indeed, as Troy speculated a moment ago, will be coming back into this game. Fewest passing yards in a first half by a Steeler offense, going all the way back to 2005 in Buffalo. Probably a safe bet the weather wasn't very good in Buffalo that day.
Well, just 4 pass attempts in that first half with 2 completions, and a lot of Le'Veon Bell as we expected, but at some point you do have to be able to make some plays in the passing game.
Trey Archer from his own end zone. And he is slammed to the deck at the 14-yard line. All right, Kurt Menefee, you're right around the corner. What's coming up at halftime?
Our entire team is getting you ready for the Visa halftime. When we come back, the Broncos defense lighted up in Cleveland. The Bills try to hand the Bengals their first loss, and the Chiefs have to make up for the loss of Jamal Charles. We'll break it all down for you with highlights as we move closer to the Visa halftime.
All right, Kurt, thank you. Drive starting at the 14-yard line. And they're going to throw it on first down, putting it into the hands of Martavis Bryant.
Well, they better be real careful right now. I know that they're not in too big of a hurry, as you can tell with Michael Vick, but you start trying to get the ball down the field against this secondary, as we pointed out. They're a bunch of ball hawks, and one error, you're going to have the ball returned on you. So here they go back to huddling up. Clock is stopped, but Michael Vick has to be extremely careful with the football.
Antonio Brown, one reception for -2 yards in his first half. And that one in the general zip code of Brown, but thrown well out of bounds. Antonio began the year, of course, Ben Roethlisberger healthy. Roethlisberger threw for better than 350 yards his first 2 full games. And the first 2 drives in St. Louis, he took him up and down the field 80 yards on each drive, 1 touchdown and a missed field goal. But ever since Roethlisberger went down, Antonio Brown has 9 catches for 80 yards.
Well, I would expect the handoff here, Tom. It's 30 seconds. Arizona has 1 timeout. Last thing they can do is stop the clock, give the ball back to Arizona with a timeout. Throw it.
They're playing around. So now with 22 seconds left, Cardinals have 1 timeout, and the crowd booing, and you can certainly understand why. A lot of the Steeler fans were really upset about the, perhaps a suggestion that Vick should be removed from the game during the game last week. Then he throws a 72-yard touchdown. They go 80 plays on the game-winning drive to finish off San Diego. It's a legitimate question to ask about today.
As long as it's a 1-possession game, he's not going anywhere.
Great punt by Jordan Berry. 13 seconds remain until halftime.
They came into this game the last 2 weeks. They were converting just 25% on third down. They haven't converted any third downs in this first half, and some of those were pretty manageable, including that last one. If you don't win on third down, you're going to have a hard time moving the football, and that's been the case for the Steelers for the last 2.5 games.
Floyd has been the big story as far as receptions are concerned today. Fitzgerald also has 4. The lone touchdown belongs to Floyd. Palmer 233 passing yards. And they're just going to take a knee and end this first half. Cardinals feel good about the way they're moving the ball with only 10 points. Steelers must feel pretty good about their defense, allowing only 10. But very little offense, and we'll see if that changes in the second half for the home team. 10-3, guys are standing by in Los Angeles. When we return, you're watching the NFL on Fox. Today's excitement through the opening half brought to you by Nissan. The second half kickoff when we return to rainy Pittsburgh. As we're actually going to keep it right here. I mean, all of a sudden it feels like real football weather, Troy Aikman. How did you like throwing the ball in the rain?
Well, I did not. I couldn't. They might as well put a lineman at quarterback when the rain came down. And, right now, the struggles that Pittsburgh has had throwing the football in that first half, and does it get any better with the conditions what they are. I mean, clearly they can continue to do the things that they're doing, but Arizona defensively has been very good against Le'Veon Bell, and it's just been a real struggle once again offensively for this Pittsburgh team.
Le'Veon Bell, 10 rushes, only 29 yards, and 11 of the 29 came on one run. I mean, look at these numbers. 1 passing yard in the first half for Vic and the Steelers, but they get the football to begin the second half with a chance to tie the game. Archer from the 4-yard line. Back across the 30. Still on his feet, close to the 40-yard line. A good return by Tree Archer. And let's check in downstairs with Peter Schrager.
Hey, Tom, I asked Mike Tomlin, you got to be disappointed about the offensive performance. He said, you know what? It's a rough and tumble sport. This is a rough and tumble game. We're down 1 score. Said we're keeping Michael Vick at quarterback. Bruce Arians said he's frustrated the team did not finish on certain drives. They got to finish in the second half.
Peter, that's a very dapper rain jacket. It's a good thing you picked that thing up yesterday. You would think a guy from Brooklyn, New York would know to bring a rain jacket to Pittsburgh. In the hands of Martavis Bryant, turns a corner, and that'll be a gain of 8 on first down to Bryant.
I mentioned earlier about Martavis Bryant getting his first action of the season and visiting with Todd Haley and how excited he was about his return. And a guy who's 6'4" and 210 pounds, and yet he's explosive like a smaller receiver, and so they get the ball into his hands that way. I think you're going to see some more of those types of things. Antonio Brown have yet to be able to get really the ball to him. Did in that first possession. They put him in the backfield, trying to come up with some creative ways to get the ball into some of these guys that can make plays.
Le'Veon Bell. Strong, powerful running. A first down inside the Arizona 45-yard line. Le'Veon grew up just outside of the Ohio State University campus in Reynoldsburg, Ohio, yet was not recruited by Ohio State and wound up becoming the star of their big rival, one of their big rivals, the Michigan State Spartans.
He was pretty excited with that victory last night, wasn't he?
Oh, man, was he ever. What an unbelievable ending to that game in Ann Arbor. Flea flicker, and now Vic will run it, and that's another Pittsburgh, well, close to a first down. We'll see where they spot it. They needed to reach the 34-yard line.
Well, they're trying to take a shot deep down the field off the flea flicker, and you're going to see the job that Arizona does, just not biting. They maintain their discipline. They stay deep. They recognize, what's happening. No opportunity then for Michael Vick to take a shot down the field. He tucks it and runs and picks up the first down.
Lady! Listen!
This entire drive on the ground. Corey Redding, the 13-year veteran out of Texas, here to make the tackle. Big fella had an interception last week against Detroit. He's been around a long time, had a nice career, Corey Redding.
Yeah, he sure has. They've got a number of those guys that are a little long in the tooth right now in their NFL careers, and yet they've found a home here with Bruce Arians.
Right.
Second down and 13. Vic nearly lost his footing, and he's still on his feet behind the line of scrimmage, and he will run it. Boy, that's turning back the clock a little bit right there for Michael Vick.
Well, he's still a great athlete, and he's still able to make plays with his legs, and so he's hobbling back just a little bit. But I know in talking with him the other day and asked him if he feels that he's lost anything, with that ability to run, and he admitted that, yeah, there's times when I take off and I don't feel that I'm quite as explosive as I was. I know, though, in talking with defensive coordinator James Betcher for Arizona, he said, don't kid yourself. When he puts his foot in the ground and starts heading straight up the field, as we've seen in this game, we saw it last week, he's as dangerous as he ever was. You really got to maintain your lanes.
Well, Steelers are going to call a timeout. I'm not sure Vic was not injured running out of bounds here a moment ago. Perhaps they're going to ask him about it standing on the sideline.
Today's game is sponsored by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. By Burger King. Kick off fall with a new Oreo Pumpkin Spice Shake. By Visa Checkout, the easier way to pay online. Sign up now. And by AT&T. DirecTV and AT&T are now one, bringing television and wireless together.
That looked like a young Troy Aikman there wearing number 8. The Brookline Knights, of course, they have such an incredible tradition in youth football, high school football, and the Pennsylvania, Ohio native. They're all over the field from both of those states for these teams today.
Middle zone. Middle zone.
Well, Vic remains in a game. And looking to the corner for Martavis Bryant into double coverage. 4th down. Let's take a look at the run by Vic a moment ago.
Right at the end of that play, you see his feet get tangled up and he hobbled back. As we pointed out, there was, timeout I think was called by Tomlin just to try to buy himself a little bit more time. Here's that 3rd down play, and Antonio Brown, he's just running a shallow crossing route. He's got a step there clearly on Peterson, but yet Vic doesn't come his way. Clearly upset at the end of that play.
48-yard field goal try, and Boswell, don't look now, is 3 out of 3. Squeeze him to Hartley to Scobie, and now Boswell. And it's a 4-point Arizona lead. Bruce Arians, we told you earlier, used to work for Mike Tomlin. And to borrow Arians' phrase, was re-fired, not retired. 2 years after winning a Super Bowl title for the Steelers as their offensive coordinator. Both coaches really downplaying that entire scenario leading up to this game. But, you look at these two franchises, and boy, the stability of one, you go back to 1969. Chuck Noll named head coach. Look at all the Cardinals coaches during that run. By far the most successful of the group, Don Coryell. Bill Cowher in 92 takes over. Is here through 2006. 5 different Cardinal head coaches. And then ever since Mike Tomlin takes over, Bruce Arians follows Ken Whisenhunt, now in Tennessee. All 3 of those Steeler coaches, Super Bowl winning head coaches. First down, and Johnson in a 10-6 game. First offensive play of the half for Arizona. After nearly 300 yards of offense in the first half.
Well, a couple things come to mind, Tom, when you talk about the head coaches that these two organizations have had, specifically the Pittsburgh Steelers. One is that, as we know, the Rooney family, certainly has shown great support and patience with their head coaches over the years. The other part of it is these head coaches have had a lot of success.
Oh, yeah.
They really haven't put that ownership in positions many times of having to make some hard decisions.
Wide receivers screen into the hands of John Brown. Is that ball loose? It appears to be. Well, what a huge call this could turn out to be in this 10-6 game.
They're all fighting for it down there. I mean, who recovered it at first and who comes out with it and initially gains possession is anybody's guess.
Looks trying to get to the Pizza at our production meeting. And it's Steeler football. Well, it was indeed ruled a fumble. And you can only imagine all that fighting going on at the bottom of that pile, clearly after the big hit by James Harrison.
Well, James Harrison comes in and just finishes John Brown off, and the ball comes out, and then it's a scrum to see who's able to get it. And that's a big takeaway then defensively by the Steelers. The Cardinals now, they've turned the ball over twice in this ball game. The Steelers offensively not doing much, but they have protected the football, and right now they go to work with an awfully short field.
Well, we suspected something was wrong with Michael Vick, and obviously there is. Landry Jones is in his third year out of Oklahoma. He has been the third quarterback ever since coming to Pittsburgh behind Roethlisberger and Gradkowski. They feel like he's really made improvement the last couple of years, but when Gradkowski went down, they went out and brought in Michael Vick. And now it is Jones, who his next pass will be his first pass in the NFL. He pitches to Le'Veon Bell, and he is dragged down inside the 10-yard line.
There's great patience by Le'Veon Bell as he gets the ball and then looks for his cut, and once he sees it, he takes it, and it's an excellent job up front. Great vision by Le'Veon Bell in a huge gain. You see, once he starts to the play side and then sees the cutback lane, he takes it, and him in the open field, he's difficult to get to the ground.
22-yard gain by Bell. Nearly his entire rush total in this game. They'll give it to him again. Picks up a couple of yards.
Bell inside the 10.
See Michael Vick on the bench over there and looking like it might be his knee, but I don't think the game plan changes much with Landry Jones at quarterback. You're right, Tom. In visiting with Todd Haley, he said, I feel that Landry Jones is ready to be the number 2, but yet they didn't feel that way when Gradkowski went down, and that's why they went out and got Vick. So they're going to be very cautious with Landry Jones here in this game.
Jones had an incredible career at Oklahoma. 4-year starter, throws to the corner, and it's incomplete, his first NFL pass attempt. I mean, just an incredible career. And you can say, all right, it's college, no big deal. But the bottom line is, you know, a lot like Andy Dalton, he played a ton of football at a big-time college as a 4-year starter. Piled up enormous numbers.
And I think you can't, you know, really put a value on that for a quarterback. Someone who, you know, stayed in the system, got a lot of looks, a lot of throws. And now he's been in this system, more importantly, for 3 seasons, and he's gotten an opportunity to watch Ben Roethlisberger. That should help him.
Third down and goal. Jones throws, and it is a touchdown to Martavis Bryant. The first touchdown pass in the career of Landry Jones.
Let's see whether or not he got both feet down. He takes a big-time hit at the end of this play. He's got his left foot down. Right one came down, and that's just an excellent job. It's really a good throw by Landry Jones, putting it up in an area where only Bryant could go up in and make that play. How about him hanging on to the ball, knowing that Tyrann Mathieu was coming in to put a big-time hit on him.
Now the Steelers are big believers in going for 2-point conversions. And they're going to go for it here. They are 3 of 4 so far this season.
I stand up here at least. I can stand up it.
And it's interesting to note that in all 4 attempts, all 4 have been passing plays.
Well, that was their first third down conversion of the game, and came at a good time and finished up with a touchdown.
They're going to throw it. And it's intercepted, and you can return this. Peterson running around, and he'll just step out of bounds. You can return it now for 2 points the other way.
Well, I don't think that was lost on Patrick Peterson. He just had nowhere to run.
Out goes Vick, in comes Jones. Touchdown Steelers, and they have the lead.
Sponsored by Chevrolet. Use hashtag #IDrive4 and we'll contribute $5 to fight breast cancer.
Well, a game statistically dominated by the Arizona Cardinals. The Steelers defense comes up with a big play, forcing a fumble. Landry Jones comes in, throws a touchdown pass. And the Steelers lead for the first time today. David Johnson up to the 30. You know, Troy, right after we went to break, and the Steelers, you know, big believers. We talked to Mike Tomlin about it on Friday of going for 2. But you wonder, oftentimes a 2-point lead one way or the other sort of just lingers out there, and rather than kicking the extra point to make it a 3-point lead.
Well, I'm surprised he went for 2 with Landry Jones. What he told us on Friday is when Ben Roethlisberger is his quarterback, he is going to go for 2, that the percentages are in his favor. But the way that this game has gone and the way that they have struggled offensively, the extra point there is obviously huge to make it a 3-point game. Instead, they're only up 2, so we'll see how the rest of it goes. But just based on what Tomlin said on Friday, I'm surprised. But as we've seen, he's willing to do some unconventional things.
Palmer under pressure. Nice throw and a really nice catch by Brown. Run up earlier is out of Pittsburgh State, and that is not in Pennsylvania. They are a Division III power. They have won more games in Division II football than any other school going back to 1908.
Well, they've been willing to go after some of these smaller school guys, and they picked up J.J. Nelson, who's inactive today, in the 5th round. He's another burner, much like John Brown is.
Johnson for a couple of yards. Let's send it back to Los Angeles. Game break time with Kurt Menefee.
All right, 2 things, Tom. First of all, check out this touchdown by Marvin Jones. With the catch, goes up, over, and in. Bengals lead the Bills 24-14. And get off Troy Aikman's back. He was a Rangers fan when Kevin Kennedy was managing Kenny Rogers.
Oh, come on.
Thank you, Kurt.
Oh, Kurt, you got to be kidding.
I grew up a Rangers fan. What are you talking about?
That looked like a hold. That's because it was. And very close to being a late hit. Delivered right there by Gay.
Holding, offense, number 61. 10-yard penalty, repeat second down.
It's the 8th penalty of the game against Arizona.
Yeah, it's on right guard Jonathan Cooper, and right now I think the Arizona, as we take a look at the hold, Stephon Tuitt was who he was holding. It was an easy one to call, but I think the Cardinals right now are just wondering how they're playing from a deficit. You know, as much as they have dominated this game, but that's what happens, you know, really in this league. And you let a team hang around, and you don't put them away when you have opportunities. These guys are too good, and they're going to make some plays, and the Steelers have. Right now, they're holding on to a 2-point lead.
Well, you see, after scoring their only touchdown, a couple of turnovers, missed field goal, and now a wide open receiver, and Palmer misses him again. Palmer has had a number of those in the game today.
Yeah, he just has not been as sharp as what we've seen from him, you know, this season. And they've had opportunities for some guys that have been open, and they just have failed to connect. And now they're looking at 3rd and 18.
Still a light rain falling. It was raining much harder a short time ago. Sacked at the 25, and that's James Harrison. Closing in on becoming the Steelers' all-time sack leader is James Harrison.
Well, watch James Harrison and Jared Valdir, the left tackle. He just pushes him all the way back into Carson Palmer, and when Palmer tries to escape the pocket, he comes off of it and makes a play. And that's a powerful man, still at 37 years old.
An angry man. When he puts on the pads, brother, you're lining up against him. You better bring your A game. There was contact there somewhere. Ball will be down at the 28-yard line, and there is a flag down, but it's behind the line of scrimmage.
Well, the Steelers are signaling that it's going to go against the Cardinals. Boy, every game we've done this year, there's been a ton of flags.
Well, through the first 4 weeks of the season, historically the most penalties we have seen going all the way back to the merger have been thrown this year, committed this year. They were down significantly in week 5. I think they're going to make him punt it again.
Illegal hands to the face by 82 of the kicking team. It's a 10-yard penalty. We will replay 4th down.
Knocked the helmet off Shamarko Thomas to the long snapper Mike Leach.
You always say when you have a team that has to punt over again, and, you know, these guys that are running down in punt coverage, you know, they're gassed. You see a lot of big returns after a penalty like this on a re-kick.
Always dangerous Antonio Brown waiting on a short punt. Fair catch at the 40. Is it Jones? Is it Vick? At quarterback for the Steelers. We'll tell you when we come back. That's the question going to break. There's your answer. We'll get an update from Peter Schrager here in a moment. Landry Jones at quarterback, playing for the first time in his NFL career. And this is his 3rd season in the league. Virtually nothing from the guy who's been the NFL's best receiver from the last 2 years, Antonio Brown.
Hey, y'all, buy down.
Yeah, the Steelers have a 2-point lead. 6 minutes to go in the 3rd. Brown on 1st down. Throws behind Brown, who is open at the 40-yard line. For more on Michael Vick. How about it, Peter?
Hey, Tom, rough afternoon from Michael Vick. You saw he was going through the concussion protocol earlier. This injury, though, is a hamstring. He is questionable to return.
Well, Vick's done a lot of running, either being chased in the pocket or taken off and running after finding nobody open.
Yeah, that was kind of the best stuff that he did there in that first half was running with the football. Now they're going to have to do it a little bit differently, of course, with Landry Jones. He had a chance on that last play to Antonio Brown. Looked like his feet maybe slipped within the pocket. Just didn't deliver a very good ball.
Le'Veon Bell for a couple of yards. It'll bring up 3rd down and 8. Steeler offense with Ben Roethlisberger. A year ago, a team record for points. No quarterback in the NFL threw for more yards. No wide receiver had more receptions than Brown. No player had more total yards than Le'Veon Bell. But ever since Roethlisberger gone to the sideline after getting injured in St. Louis, very, very quiet.
Well, that's Antonio Brown at the top of the screen. Patrick Peterson, who's been in coverage on him a good part of this game, on him once again.
False start offense, number 88. 5-yard penalty. It's 3rd down.
Coming into this ball game, Patrick Peterson, who typically goes with the opponent's best wide receiver, that being Antonio Brown here in this ball game, and he's lined up with him a good part of the afternoon, and it hasn't really been much of a matchup, one that I certainly would have looked forward to if Roethlisberger is your quarterback. Clearly, Antonio Brown not really getting a real fair look.
3rd down. And wide open is Bryant. 1st down to the 39-yard line. Nicely thrown ball by Landry Jones.
That's a perfectly thrown ball because it's in that intermediate range, and you've got to be able to get it up and get it down. And you get it up because you've got to get it over the underneath coverage and then drop it back in and give your receiver an opportunity to make the play. And Bryant was there. There was a hole for him to get into, but you've got to deliver the good throw, and Landry Jones does it perfectly.
Jefferson, Buchanan, Matthew, Rashad Johnson, Gerard Powers, Peterson. This is a playmaking secondary for these Arizona Cardinals.
Well, what's been impressive here with Landry Jones is, they had not converted on a third down while Vic was their quarterback, and they've converted on their only 2 third downs with him, and the one was a touchdown, and then the big conversion to Martavis Bryant.
Yeah, on 3rd and 11. Sun shining now. After some rain, heavy winds, accurate throw to Wheaton. Trying to spin his way out of a tackle by Powers, cannot do it, but they get a big chunk of it back, and it'll bring up 3rd down, and we'll see, depending on the spot, we'll call it 4.
Well, the playbook got a little bit bigger once Landry Jones, or at least the play call sheet did for Todd Haley, and he's executing it well. A guy who has gotten a little bit of work, but not a lot. Certainly not a lot with these wide receivers in the starting unit.
3 down. Time.
3rd and 4. Don't know what happened there. You had Heath Miller and Brown standing basically right next to one another. I think that ball hit Brown in the foot.
Yeah, I don't know if Landry Jones just didn't get a good look. They're trying to run the rub right there and free up Antonio Brown, and right at the time, Antonio Brown is clearly frustrated. He's been frustrated for a couple of weeks. A guy of his ability, just have not been able to get him the ball. But had Landry have been able to hold it a little bit longer, he frees up Brown, and then he's able to complete the pass.
51-yard field goal try. Tell you what, Chris Boswell is one popular cat here in Pittsburgh. The hardest stadium in the NFL to hit from 50 or longer since it opened. Boswell's first try from 50, nothing to it. Antonio Brown, a frustrating day, a frustrating 3 weeks without his main man, Big Ben, at quarterback. But it's a 5-point Steeler lead.
Yeah, he caught that swing pass on the first offensive possession for the Steelers, and he hasn't had a reception since.
David Johnson from the goal line. That's the 3rd time in a row he's failed, or 3rd in the last 4, he's failed to get to the 20. Colin Cowherd, the most unique voice in sports. You can see him every day on FS1. Monday he'll be talking about all the big stories in college football and the MLB playoffs. Howie Long's going to drop by. The Herd with Colin. Weekdays at noon Eastern only on FS1. You're probably a regular on that show,
well,
right?
I've been on. I would tell you who is a regular, and that's our sideline guy, Peter Schrager. And
really?
He's going to drop some knowledge and some Schrager bombs on
Tell you what,
Howard on Monday morning.
Peter's dialed in.
Oh, yeah.
That's a dangerous throw and a catch made by Nicholas. First time his name's been called all year.
It was certainly contested, but right now Arizona trying to get something going again offensively. They moved the ball in that first half, just were unable to finish off some drives, and been a bit of a struggle here in this second half.
Nicholas, a high draft pick out of Notre Dame in his second year, and he's 3rd on the depth chart. His first catch of the season. Down the field, coming back to get it is Brown. And he beats Antoine Blake. That's a second big catch of the day for John Brown.
Well, the Cardinals, they show blitz, the Steelers do. They bring it right off the edge. Carson hangs in there. He knows he's got one-on-one. He takes a shot to John Brown, and Antoine Blake is in a perfect position to make a play on the ball. He's over the top. You wouldn't expect them to give up the deep ball, but John Brown makes the adjustment to the underthrown football, and a big gain for the Cardinals.
He's had a 45-yard reception and now a 42-yard reception. Palmer over 300 passing yards in the game. Now we have 50 seconds to play in the third quarter. And looking for the corner of the end zone. Michael Floyd, no. Was out of bounds.
It looked like Michael Floyd just ran out of real estate. We'll say a perfectly thrown ball by Carson. There's the right foot and the left foot there on the lines. Officials right there in position to make the call. It's a good job on their part. A bang play, but you see Michael Floyd, he gets pushed out to the boundary and just ran out of room.
Well, that's a nice throw though, isn't it?
That was a perfectly thrown ball by Palmer.
Wow. Floyd already a touchdown today. His first of the year. Play clock down to 1. They just do get it off. And a quick hitter to Fitzgerald. And that'll be a gain of 8. A third down coming up for Arizona. And we check in with Kurt back in Los Angeles.
Last week, the Bengals had to come back from 17 down in the fourth quarter. Now they were going in the fourth quarter up 17. Tyler Eifert with the touchdown catch from Andy Dalton. Dalton's third, 31-14 late in the third at Buffalo. Tom and Troy?
Well, we were just talking about Nicholas, a big draft pick out of Notre Dame. Boy, that Tyler Eifert, now that he is healthy, he is a monster.
Well, they got a lot of weapons there in Cincinnati, and Eifert being back, yeah, just gives them another one.
Got hurt the first play of the season last year. Smothered on a third down pitch. Here's Johnson, and it's Arthur Moats coming up to make the tackle. That'll be the final play of the third quarter. Fox NFL Sunday returns after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. Will the Cardinals go for it on fourth down? Well, it looked like Carson Palmer was trying to talk Bruce Arians into going for it on fourth down as we were reaching the end of the third quarter, but they have sent out the field goal unit.
Well, this is the right decision. As quarterback, yeah, you always want to go for it on fourth down. Arians knows. It's a chance here to make it a 2-point game.
39-yard field goal try, Catanzaro, and it is good. Arizona trims the lead down to a pair. It's been a long week for the Cardinals. They've stayed in the Eastern time zone, Peter Schrager.
What's the injury? Left shoulder.
And now, you know, they had a whole week at Greenbrier, and what they did was it's a golf resort. What happened was, though, that Bruce Arians gets to meet his lifelong idol, Arnold Palmer. I said, was that a three? He said, it's a bucket list item. And the beautiful part of that, this is, he goes, look at me, he goes, Gary Player, this guy's incredible shape. I got to get some tips. So we got to meet all these guys, Trevino, Player, also Jack Nicholas. And the team was there all week. They've done it before for a game that they were down in Tampa Bay between New Orleans and Tampa, but every player seemed to really enjoy it, and that's where the Saints do training camp, guys.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Greenbrier, one of the most beautiful resorts in America in West Virginia, and that is the home of legendary golfer Sam Snead. So whenever they have something big going on there, you'll see some of the current greats and the former greats come back in his honor.
Well, the other part of that, too, when you spend an entire week somewhere, as the Cardinals did, Monday night, the Steelers were playing, you know, of course, against the San Diego Chargers, and the entire team was able to gather and watch that game, something you'd never do back, you know, in your hometown. And so that part of it was good. I know Carson Palmer, it was a good getaway, but he was ready for this game to get here and ready to play. It makes for a long week for those guys that are married with families and being away from them.
Sure does.
The entire week.
3 yards here, a couple of yards out of his own end zone, and will step out of bounds at the 22. A full quarter to go. It's been a weird game. I mean, a game totally dominated from a statistical standpoint in the first half by Arizona, but only one touchdown to show for it.
Well, they didn't finish some drives, and then you look at this second half, Tom, and it's been really all Pittsburgh. I mean, they've got a few things going offensively. Landry Jones has given this offense a shot in the arm, and the problems that the Steelers had converting on third down have now gone to the Arizona Cardinals, and they're 0 for 4 on their last 4 third downs and have been unable to establish anything offensively.
Over 200 yards more of offense by Arizona than the Steelers. Bell bottled up right at the line of scrimmage, 2nd down and 10. Frosty Rucker along with Gunter there in the snap. Rucker, of course, a long time playing inside this division with the Steelers as a Bengal and has played very well since going to the Cardinals.
Yes, he has. He's one of those big bodies down there in the trenches, and it's a good defensive group. I know they lost their defensive coordinator, Todd Bowles. He goes to New York and takes over as the head coach, and they bring in James Betcher, and they pretty much keep the same philosophy, and that's really why Bruce Arians hired him as defensive coordinator. And this defense has been pretty good as well.
Early favorite target, it appears, for Mr. Jones is Martavis Bryant. Many will remember last year, Bryant did not play the first 6 games of the season. His rookie year out of Clemson, came out of Clemson with a reputation of having bad hands. But all he did his first 6 NFL games was score touchdowns. What did Todd Haley call him the other day? The alien.
Yeah, as in from another planet, right? He was sure high on him. He's having a nice afternoon with 5 catches.
They were with us earlier today, the first game that Bryant has played in this season, suspended the first 4. Bell, little running room, and bottled up, and it carries for 8.
Le'Veon Bell is something else. I mean, we all know what he is as a runner, and a lot of people, I know Steeler fans do, a lot of people don't realize how good he is as a receiver. Last year, 83 receptions as a running back, and they can use him in a lot of different ways, and he wants to be used as many different ways as possible. Todd Haley says he'll come into his office, and Le'Veon Bell will be in there, lobbying to try to run comebacks and square ins, and he wants to do it all, and he's a real talented individual.
Well, he led the AFC in rushing yards last year, led the NFL in yards from scrimmage. What a beautiful throw. And able to make the over-the-shoulder reception is Antonio Brown, his first catch of the day for positive yards.
Great adjustment to the ball by Antonio Brown, and Patrick Peterson, who was maybe expecting the ball upfield, as he turns to locate it, Landry Jones puts the ball perfectly on the back shoulder, and a nice completion. A little different element to this offense now for this Arizona Cardinals defense to defend.
Right. 20.
4-man rush. Brown back-to-back catches. This one a short gainer, but a gainer nonetheless.
No, but Antonio Brown, he got a little bounce to his step after he caught that last ball, and here was a guy who dropped to the 6th round, and a lot of it had to do with his size. He's a smaller guy in stature, and they worried about his lack of strength or his ability to get off the line of scrimmage against some of these big NFL corners, and yet that really is one of his best assets. He is so quick and so good at setting up a defender and getting off the line. It's why he gets open as often as he does.
Well, trying to get to that first down marker, and Tyrann Mathieu says no way.
Bell, the home carrier. Stop by Mathieu.
Well, while Arizona had the football, Landry Jones getting an earful. You heard that from Michael Irvin.
I was going to say, that's like Michael Irvin or any great receiver, really. You can always tell who the starting quarterback is or who's in the game by who they're talking to, right? I bet he hadn't talked to Landry Jones, hadn't given him 3 words through 5 weeks.
Right. 3 years. This is the first season that Jones has even been active for a game. He's the 3rd quarterback the last 2 years. Heath Miller, his first target, his first catch, a first down.
That's great poise by Landry Jones. James Betcher, he decides to bring pressure and try to rattle the young quarterback, and he hangs in there and knows exactly where to go with the football. He's doing an outstanding job. You see, completing 70% of his passes. More importantly, for a quarterback, your down is 3rd down, and you have to win that down if you're going to be successful in this league, and he's been able to do that since he took over.
103rd consecutive game with a reception for Heath Miller. Bell stays on his feet, lunges inside the 20 to the 19-yard line, a gain of 5. And here's Alejandro Villanueva leading the way. He replaced the injured Kelvin Beacham at left tackle. If you weren't with us earlier, young man didn't play football for 5 years. An Army Ranger captain. 3 different tours serving in Afghanistan for the United States of America.
One out, 20, right. Many.
A first down for Bell to the Arizona 12. And this Steeler offensive line is starting to have its way up front.
Yeah, Cody Wallace, you mentioned earlier, here he is at center. He does an outstanding job of making a key block, which allows Le'Veon Bell a lane. Taking over for Marquise Pouncey. But this offense right now obviously has a different look and feel to it, and they're mixing it up. They're not just having to rely on the running game of Bell, and Landry Jones is giving this offense a spark.
Vision of Bell. There are just certain backs in the league that they have the patience, they have the burst, they have the power, they have the speed, all those for Bell. Just looking for that little opening.
I know Mike Tomlin was talking about it. You know, when he came into the draft, he was 240 pounds, and right now he's probably about 215 pounds. He's obviously leaner and lighter, still maintaining the explosiveness. They got him split out up top here.
It's the 11th play of this drive. To the corner. Incomplete.
Well, it's a pretty big third down right now for this Arizona defense. A chance to stop this drive and keep it a one-possession game. Tell you what, Landry Jones hadn't been afraid to go after Patrick Peterson, knowing that he's got his ace in Antonio Brown, and he's getting more looks now.
That is his first incompletion on this Arizona drive. They've gone after Peterson 8 times, 3 completions. Third down, and they're going to run it. And that did not fool the Cardinals. There's Golden. Not sure the crowd likes that play call much. Not that it matters, but
well, that one's interesting. You know, I mean, you look at it and you say you get an opportunity if you kick the field goal to make the Cardinals, you know, make it a 5-point game, but where they need a touchdown. But as well as Landry Jones has been throwing the ball, I think he's had good looks. He's been smart with the football. A little surprised by that one.
28-yard field goal try. Boswell is still not missed as a Steeler. All right, now we shift gears to Palmer and this highest scoring team in the league. 7:19 to go. They're down by 5.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Lowe's. Hurry in this week for great fall savings. By Charles Schwab, own your tomorrow. And by Microsoft Surface, the official tablet of the NFL.
That's a pile of Super Bowl trophies. 6 of them for these Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, it's impressive. You walk through their facility and they got them proudly on display. It's the first thing you see when you come through the doors. A lot of success over the years here.
Of course, the last one they won was against these Arizona Cardinals. Ball bobbled by David Johnson and still recovers to bring it out across the 20. Antonio Brown says, keep coming my way, young man. Keep coming my way. Together, the NFL and the American Cancer Society encourage everyone to join the fight against breast cancer. Find out how you can help make a crucial catch at NFL.com/pink. Of course, Larry Fitzgerald lost his mother, Carol, to cancer in 2003, donating $10,000 for every touchdown, $1,000 for every reception. 10,000 for every Arizona win here in the month of October. And can they put together a potential game-winning drive? Still 7 minutes to go. Arizona 4-1 on the year. In their 4 wins, they've won by an average of 25 points per game. Their only loss came against St. Louis. And it's really the only game where Palmer was sacked, and the only game where Arizona turned the football over 3 times in that game.
This is new territory for them, and now with 6.5 minutes to play, you just don't know how many more possessions you're going to get. So you've got to look at this one and assume it's going to be your last. Assume the way that Pittsburgh has moved the ball offensively themselves.
Blitz coming. Palmer throws. They're looking for a flag. No flag, and now there is one. Well, it took a while.
You see the grab at the top. It looked like as Floyd was trying to work back, there's clearly contact before the ball arrives. Yeah, it took a little while for it to get out of his pocket.
Interference defense, number 31. The ball was placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
That's about a 3rd time today they thought Cockrell should have had a flag.
Yeah, Bruce Arians been working those officials the entire game and upset about some of the calls that they have not had.
Troy, going to what you were referring to a moment ago, Cardinals, could this be their last possession? Fumble, punt, field goal. Steelers in the half have scored on each of their 4 possessions. So this is money time for Palmer in Arizona. It's an 11-yard penalty. First down at the 35. Fitzgerald got a block from Floyd, but a nice tackle made by Blake.
Boy, it sure was. Blake comes up. He's one-on-one on Larry Fitzgerald. They get a nice block with the inside pursuit. He makes him miss. He gets an opportunity to run for a little while, but Blake makes the open field tackle. Just an outstanding job.
6 minutes to go in Pittsburgh. Steelers a 5-point advantage. Looking down the field again for Brown, and that'll be another flag on Cockrell. There's also a penalty flag behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, they're going to get Jared Beldier, their left tackle, on a hold on James Harrison. Harrison just exploded off the line of scrimmage.
There were 2 fouls on the play, 1 on each team. Holding, number 68 offense. There was also pass interference defense, number 31. The penalty's offset. Replay, 2nd down.
There's James Harrison, you know, his size and strength. He's able to get low and get around the edge. He's a nightmare for anybody trying to block him one-on-one. And then there's the penalty down the field on Ross Cockrell. So what would have been a huge gain, he's got to replay the down because of the hold on Beldier.
Boy, how many times through the years, all those seasons playing in this division with the Bengals, it's almost like Palmer has a 6th sense when Harrison is around.
He's very familiar with Harrison. He's certainly familiar with this Pittsburgh defense.
All right, 2nd down and 8, 5:40 to go. Brown, a first down close to midfield. Brown, a 6th catch of the day now for 130 yards.
This guy's something else. He's not even 100%. He came into this game with a hamstring, and I asked Bruce Arians, I said, where exactly do you think he is? He said, well, probably about 90%. Well, his 90% is really good.
It's a young man who set an NFL record with 4 game-winning touchdowns a season ago, breaking the former mark of the 49ers' R.C. Owens all the way back in 1957. Palmer gets it away. Fitzgerald leaping into the air, comes down for a first down at the 41-yard line. Under 5 to go.
Well, you see that when you get John Brown in that slot position, it gets the attention of the defensive backs because he's so fast, you don't want him running by you. You've got to respect that. And you don't then crowd the line, and it opens things up for everyone else. And Larry Fitzgerald able to make really a nice catch on that ball.
Gerard Brown in motion. They give it to Johnson. Inside the 40 to the 37. And we check in back in Los Angeles. A game break with Kurt Benefield.
Well, the Broncos offense hadn't scored a touchdown all day. Peyton Manning, no touchdowns, obviously, and 2 interceptions until this changed everything. Emmanuel Sanders, 75-yard score from Manning, and they retake the lead in Cleveland by a field goal. It's getting late, 23-20. Tom and Troy.
Boy, Brownies have had some tough ones so far this year.
Well, they keep talking about what Peyton can't do, and yet he still keeps finding ways to win games.
Second down and 6. Johnson wrapped up, twisted down by Gay, who came down the line from the cornerback position in a 3rd down and 8 coming up.
Yeah, Gay, he drops down inside the box, and he's in a perfect position. Nobody can account for him, and then he makes the play. He steps up in there. I'm a little surprised that Carson stayed with that one.
Third down and 8. Just one for their last 6 on 3rd down are the Cardinals. Timeout.
Today's game is sponsored by T-Mobile. Switch to the Data Strong network.
Third down and 8. Steeler crowd comes alive. Pittsburgh a 5-point lead. Arizona with the ball at the Steeler 39. Palmer delivers on the money, and again it is John Brown. A career best receiving day for John Brown. First down, Cardinals.
That's an excellent route by John Brown. You see the release, and then he gets back up the field, and he runs a square in. I thought the Steelers did an excellent job. They show blitz. They pull out of that, and then they run coverage over the top of John Brown, not giving him a one-on-one opportunity up the field, but perfect execution by both Carson Palmer and John Brown.
Blitz coming. Palmer intercepted in the end zone by Mike Mitchell. And there are 2 players injured in the end zone. Boy, Palmer threw it right into double coverage, and that was an easy interception for Mitchell.
Well, it was, as you see Cockrell down, but Mike Mitchell never leaves the middle of the field. It was a pre-snap look, and Carson Palmer, for whatever reason, just never saw him, never located him, and threw the ball as though he had an open middle of the field. And you see Mike Mitchell, he's not going to get an easier interception than that.
Cockrell is the injured Steeler, who's just now getting to his feet, and Mitchell took a huge hit.
After the interception, personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Pittsburgh, number 92. Pittsburgh gets the ball on the 20-yard line as a result of the interception. The penalty will take it back to the 10-yard line.
You can take a look at that interception. Here's Mike Mitchell, the free safety in the middle of the field. You're going to see that he never leaves center field. And as Carson Palmer comes off the play-action fake, he doesn't locate him, but a pre-snap read would have told him where he was, and instead he turns it loose. And I was surprised when he thought maybe he could fit that ball in, and Larry Fitzgerald, although there's coverage, could have put it on him and got it inside the 10-yard line.
So now this Cardinal defense needs to make a stop, and they do have all 3 timeouts remaining. So you have the 2-minute warning mixed in. They're going to spend one of those timeouts now. You'll get another one after this play. But a story today has been Landry Jones, first time he's played in an NFL game, on in relief of Michael Vick. They have scored on all 4 of their second half possessions with Jones at quarterback.
He's been pretty good, hasn't he? He's going up against this secondary of the Arizona Cardinals that any guy coming in and getting his first action of play, it's a pretty daunting task to try to throw the football against them, and yet he's been able to do it, and he's done it very effectively.
Steelers got the ball to begin the second half, and they were running the ball, and on a Vic carry, his feet got tangled up, injured a hamstring, had to leave the game. In came Jones, who was in for 2 plays, you may remember, in the first half due to concussion protocol. Vic was forced to leave the game. Second down and 8. First down reception by Bryant. Still on his feet. One man to beat is Peterson behind him. Martavis Bryant to the end zone. There is a penalty flag behind the line of scrimmage.
Personal foul, roughing the passer. Defense number 93. Tackle the quarterback low. That 15-yard penalty will be enforced on the kickoff. The touchdown counts.
Well, it's a simple slant route by Martavis Bryant. Tyrann Mathieu is in coverage, and a lot of missed opportunities to make a play on the ball carrier, but this is what we heard about on Friday from Todd Haley and his excitement over Bryant returning to the lineup, and he seals this one. Big time run and catch.
They called him the alien. He's so big, he's so strong, and he's so fast. Well, he's been an alien to the Steelers offense because he hasn't played all year long after a suspension and then not being ready to go to an injury the next week. And that's going in low right there on Calais Campbell, drawing the penalty. What an unbelievable story Landry Jones has become here in the second half in Pittsburgh. Under 2 minutes to go. 24 points now for the Steelers. They've scored on 5 straight possessions.
There's the end of that run by Martavis Bryant, and a happy man in Landry Jones. You talked about it, Tom. He came in off the bench. He gave this offense a spark, and he opened up the playbook for Todd Haley, and they were able to make some throws. Got Antonio Brown involved, and you can just see the enthusiasm and the excitement level this offense picked up as soon as he started completing some passes. And done a heck of a job.
Point after by Boswell is good. 25-13. And with 1:58 left, the Steelers trying to hand the Cardinals their second loss of the year. Steelers would go to 4-2 if they can hang on. A lot of time in this one, but Troy, we were talking in between the commercial break there, and you said it during the first half. It should have never probably come to this if you're Bruce Arians and looking at the way this game played out, especially in that first half.
Well, you dominate a game the way that Arizona did in the first half. I think Steelers had, under 60 yards of total offense, and yet, you couldn't close them out. Not necessarily close them out, but build up a lead. And I've seen it too many times. I saw it when I was playing. You watch it each and every week. You let a team hang around no matter how ugly it may look. And eventually they're going to make some plays. And Landry Jones has provided that spark, and he's been exceptional. Not easy to do. A guy who's had very limited work in practice and comes in and plays and made some big throws against, as I said, what I believe to be the best secondary in football. These guys are terrific.
The whole Jones story, for those of you perhaps just joining us, the fact that he was a highly touted, highly decorated 4-year starter at Oklahoma. Unbelievable numbers. We showed them to you earlier. Threw for nearly 17,000 yards for the Sooners. Some wondered, could he play the pro game? Was the arm strong enough to play in the pro game? A lot of questions we hear about so many different guys. But has benefited from playing under the same head coach, the same offensive coordinator, watching one of the game's very best quarterbacks every day in practice in Roethlisberger, and he's waited 3 years for this day and has made the most of it. Johnson will take a knee. So many chances for Arizona to get some daylight. Now they've had personal fouls. They've had 5 of them in the game. Been penalized 9 times for 111 yards. Had a touchdown called back. They fumbled. 2 interceptions by Palmer. None bigger than that last one by Mitchell in the end zone. But it's not over yet. It's a 12-point game. 1:58 to play. And that'll pick up 14. Steelers had 59 yards of offense, the exact number in the first half. In the second half, 252 yards. All but 31 of those with Landry Jones at quarterback.
Well, I think we know if Roethlisberger unable to play next week at Kansas City, I think we know who will be starting for this Pittsburgh offense. But for a team in the Arizona Cardinals that has, been so good at taking the ball away, Pittsburgh +3, the turnover ratio in this game.
There's Brown, and he goes down to the 37. They'll touch him there. 1:11, and Arizona needs to hurry up. Almost spike it. 1:04 left. Well, there's a penalty flag. I mean, it's about 2 yards off the Steelers sideline. See Keith Butler there, the defensive coordinator.
12 men on the field by the defense. It's a 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Ed Hockley's going to get an endorsement deal with somebody after this game.
Well, he would just be following your lead.
Yeah, right.
Well, in the AFC North, you better believe Mike Tomlin knows about the Bengals start. And the Bengals are about 4 minutes away from making that a 6-0 start.
You love talking about the Bengals.
They're going to rough up Buffalo today. Fitzgerald unable to slip the tackle by Timmons. Clock continues to run. We're under a minute.
They're trying to preserve their timeouts as best they can, but it doesn't much matter if they score and they don't have any time. They've got to get moving.
Defender fell down but was able to reach out and trip up Brown at the 15-yard line. And again, Palmer figures to spike it. 35 ticks remain. Well, what about the NFC West? It's been a hard division to figure, Troy. I mean, Arizona off to the great start. You've seen Seattle a couple of times going into a game against unbeaten Carolina later today here on Fox. 1 game under 500.
Yeah, this division just tightens up. I mean, it's the way that it is in most of these races. And this is a game that if the Cardinals do end up losing this game, Bruce Arians it's going to be awfully frustrating, knowing how they could have taken control in the first half. And Carson Palmer, it's going to be a long ride back to Arizona after that last interception. One you just wouldn't expect from a veteran quarterback like him.
Timeout Pittsburgh. That's their third.
Let's take a peek at what's coming up for Arizona. They'll make it back-to-back weeks inside the AFC North. Baltimore, only 1 win on the year, then Cleveland on the road. So yeah, that's not easy riding in those next 2 weeks after a bye.
Pretty challenging there for Arizona, and you mentioned Seattle. They're trying to get their footing, and a tough loss last week, and it doesn't get any easier for Pittsburgh either. I know Kansas City has not played great football up to this point, but it is not an easy place to have to go travel to and play.
I think it's safe to say they'd love to have Roethlisberger back next week. There were whispers maybe he would be back this week. But they would love to have him back starting with the 3 straight games here at home. I mean, look, they want him there next week if he's able to go at Kansas City. But, man, they are a different team with that cat at quarterback. Palmer to the back of the end zone. Too tall. He took a hit from Moats. Did Palmer. Arthur Moats has been a solid pickup coming over from Buffalo last year.
Well, you're trying to make a play as Carson is, and these are the types of hits you start taking. When you're hanging in there and just trying to get the ball into the end zone, and you got to be real smart here. Also, Carson does not to let one game here trying to make a play down 12 and risk getting hurt and missing games,
as he did last year. Troy spun down to the 10. Clock will run. They'll call a timeout. We'll take a look next week. The NFL on Fox returns. It'll be a double dip. Coverage begins at 11 a.m. Eastern with Fox NFL Kickoff, followed by America's #1 pregame show, Fox NFL Sunday. And Troy, you'll be back with your regular partner, Joe Buck and Aaron Andrews, partners. Cowboys and the Giants from the Meadowlands.
Yeah, well, that game's shaping up to be something. After the first couple of weeks, the Giants got off to a slow start, and Cowboys, of course, have a bye week here today, and Giants having to travel to Philadelphia in a big NFC showdown tomorrow night. But regardless, that game next week in New York is going to be big for those two teams.
So it's 4th down. This is pretty much the game. Any hopes of getting back into the game with just 21 seconds left. Palmer rolling to the end zone. And no. Out of bounds was Jerron Brown, and that'll tie a ribbon around this one. Steelers are going to go to 4-2. Cardinals will go to 4-2.
That's a big win here for this Pittsburgh organization, and Mike Tomlin knows it. I mean, everybody that we talked to in the staff on Friday said, hey, we're just trying to hold it together until we can get number 7 back in the lineup. Ben Roethlisberger, because as you said, Tom, this offense, this team is entirely different when he's at the helm. He does so much at the line of scrimmage, even during the week leading up with these wide receivers, and he gives everybody in the building a great deal of confidence. So, they could very easily have been 3-0. I think Mike Tomlin will take being 2-1. See what happens next week. It's reported he may miss next week's game as well, but they found them something in Landry Jones. And I can't say enough about the way that he played. That was impressive work.
His first game in the NFL. And Landry Jones, a hero, as the Steelers win it. All right, we're going to send you to Detroit. Chris Myers, Rondé Barber, Jennifer Hale for the conclusion of the Lions and Bears.